Hey y'all, this is Mark. I'm here to do step 6 of the Prusa MK3 printer assembly. And it is the thing that you see on the left hand side of the screen. It is the LCD display thing that lets us put a SD card in there and then select things off a menu and start the printer running. And that's Sarah in the background being goofy. Her channel is Gravity Road, and she builds robots, so you should check that out. All right, let's get to it. She's going to be distracting, but I'm going to ignore that. All right, so let's switch over to our desktop here. So in the kit, you'll find the front panel thing. It's orange in the picture in the upper right corner, but I got black plastic. The mounting brackets, and then there's this little adjuster knob thing which actually goes onto this component here at the end and lets you, I guess, tweak the brightness or some other aspect of something. And then there's an SD card in here for printing. It was nice of them to include that. So let's get to the next step. Oh, it's asking, oh, this is interesting. I didn't find that in the kit. It wants M3 by 10 screws, 6 of them, and then 4 nuts. Those were not in any of the bags, so that's not good. How did we do this? I'm going to go through my boxes here. Excuse me? Yes. Oh, I didn't set the chat up. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me get chat into the window. I forgot to set that up. Give me like a minute and a half here. We're supposed to insert it in the window and do that. Where is my browser? Okay. Chat. So far I got MakerBlock and Galen here. Let me pop this out and then bring it up on the main screen. Pop out chat. Okay, and then I'm going to bring that out to a window. Tap in the window. Alright, and then resize the window. Right. Give me one more second. The software. Yeah, I used the video streaming software called OBS, and it's a huge pain in the butt to set up like a chat window. They'd figure that out or something. So, give me a second here. I'm sorry. It's all for the delay. Right. It won't let me. Oh. Oh my God, that's annoying. All right, so. This is full screen. You can't do that. So let's, all right, there's the chat. Sorry about that. Let me adjust this here. There we go. All right, I'm going to continue now. Galen says his MK3 doesn't arrive till mid-March. So thanks for watching this, and then maybe you'll get at least a head start on assembling it. I hear in the March edition they will have a lot of improvements, like the powder-coated print bed thing. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get that. I didn't really, though. I'd already waited 2 months, so I decided not to wait any further. I'll just, at some point, some distributor will probably carry those, and I'll just buy a couple. So I decided not to wait any longer. Let's see. Galen says, look in the bubble wrap that the LCD came in for the screws. I'll do that. You're a lifesaver, Galen, because guess what is in the bottom of the bag? The screws. I totally missed that. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes. I found this. Galen found the screws because he knew where they were at. So, all right. So let's get these out on the table. Now I have the things I need. Okay, so they said they want you to check the LCD cables. So it comes essentially pre-assembled and wrapped up like this. So it says to unwrap these LCD cables, and they're already plugged into the thing. And I think it's because they're both the same. They don't want you to kind of, I don't know. Well, they're not labeled, so I don't know. But they're essentially pre-assembled. It says, though, here, are they marked? Oh, they are marked. Look at that. So in the picture they show, there's a, on one cable, there's 2 black hash marks, and there's one black hash mark. So they've nicely, simply pre-labeled them for you, so we know what we're dealing with. So that was nice of them, and they pre-plugged them in so that we won't get confused on what is what. So, and yeah, they do seem to be in the correct slots as well. So, okay. I guess Galen saw somebody else do exactly the same thing as throw away the bubble wrap bag with the screws in it, like I did. So, yeah, just so impatient to get my printer together, I just don't even look at the bag. All right, let's move forward here. Let's see, prepare the LCD controller. So we're going to add, according to this, we're going to lay this out like this. Lay it out like that, and then they say to take these little brackets and put them on in a particular way. Let's make sure I have the right side. So that goes on that side. This apparently goes on this side. Each of these parts looks similar, but one has a flange on it and one doesn't. So that is to clear, it looks like to help clear the SD card, or it just goes past the SD card. So this one goes on this side, and it says slide it on the edge of the board. There you go. It's evened out. Yeah, it's a nice tight fit, which is like better than being sloppy, right? So, so it says to slide it down maybe ½ an inch, if that. I guess we'll adjust it later. So it's somewhere around like there. And then the other side, same deal. This curvy bit going backward. Then slide it, and I think this edge goes flush with the edge of the board. Yeah, and it has clearance for the, so right there, so this little flange, this one, it shows in the picture this is being flush with the edge, and then these 2 little round outs clear the screw heads. So that's all good. It says the exact position will be adjusted later, do not worry at this moment. Alright, we're going to press the LCD into the main chassis here. This is the Prusa labeled LCD chassis. So we're going to arrange it like that, with the hole on the, as you see. And it says pretty much just drop this in here. If they drop, just kind of place it in here. There's already, I can already see there's a little indent in the plastic to match this groove. So you can see where it kind of needs to be, and it has a little bit of a, looks like a little bit of adjustment room too. That one looks fairly centered. This one isn't bad either, so I think I nailed it in there. Oh, and it says that it needs to, so it goes in here on this side, and then it's gonna, there's a little bump there that it needs to go past, snap past. So let's see if I can show you. So look right there where my finger is. So it says to click that in and get that settled down there. So you can see that that thing is holding the board in now, and it's pressure fitting it in. So the only question is, do I need to pre-peel this LCD sticker? I almost want to say yes. I'm going to peel the edges because the plastic that protects the LCD looks like it goes past it. So I'm going to take this out and pre-peel this. It was probably in the previous instruction when we read past it. Hi, what you doing? Huh. Yeah, this there's a film on here. I'm not gonna peel it all the way off. I'm just gonna peel it back, so that it clears my plastic. Just put it in. It's like, there we go. Or not. It doesn't really matter. I think we're at the point where we're not going to damage our LCD. That must have some scratch protection. Yeah, I don't want this getting under the plastic and then being a pain to get out of it. So there we go. So cleared that. Let's put this back in. One thing I'd like to see is I'm getting tired of these little two-line green, elf blue LCDs. I'd like to see somebody develop a touch screen. And you see all these Arduino touchscreen things out there. It'd be fun to redo this whole panel with a LCD touchscreen and some software that can talk to the printer. Maybe that's something. Maybe that's something I'll go after and see how much energy I have. But that might be a fun little side project to see if I can make a touch LCD, color LCD touchscreen on there. It'd be kind of cool. So actually, I do plan to use Octoprint on this thing. So I may never touch the LCD screen if I learn how to use Octoprint and get it to really work on this printer. That would be really nice. One of my friends actually, he replaced this with one of the SD cards that has Wi-Fi in it, and so now, and it appears like a hard drive on your network when you do that. And so what he does is he just drops the file he wants to print on the SD card, then walks over to the printer and selects the file that he wants to print. But he's not taking this in and out all day every time he wants to print anymore. So it saves him a little bit of time. Just drop the file in there, go over and hit the go button. With Octoprint, then you can, I think Octoprint can upload to the SD card. But let's say it didn't, you'd be able to at least use Octoprint to control your printer. And then you'd never really have to take things in and out of your printer or all of that. I do that with the MakerBot. It's, it works, but it's kind of a pain in the butt if you're changing a design 5 times in a day. It kind of wears you down. So, so that. All right, it says LCD support must click under the support in the center. Yes, it did. It says adjust the position of the supports if needed. So it's all down. It all sits down. I can see that the LCD sits against the bezel, so I know it doesn't have to go any further. This thing's in the right place, so I don't have to worry about that. So I think that's good for that step. Let's see. It says using the 2.5mm Allen key and 2 M3x10 screws, secure the LCD controller into place on this hole and this hole over here. So let's do that. Special tool. That's good and done. Let's do the next one. Over here. Pay attention to my chat. Let's see. Oh, the hot end. Here, after I get this screw in, I'm gonna pause and I'll talk about on the last video, I had a problem with how I put the hot end in because I didn't look closely enough at the picture they were showing when you snap the hot end. I didn't pay attention to how it was in there, and it got rotated by 90 degrees, and the cables weren't going in the right place. And so I was kind of like a little bit embarrassed at the end of the video. I did sort that out in about 20 minutes. I had to here. Okay, I got that screw in. Let's put this aside. I'll talk about the hot end. Let me move my camera up. So here's the printer. So the thing we did on the last video was the hot end assembly and mounting it to the carriage here. And the thing that got screwed up, see if we can see this. Probably not. So it's kind of hard to see, but this, if you see those red wires there, those are the heater wires. And I put the hot end in 90 degrees, and the wires were coming out, I think, going left or right instead of going toward the back. And when I went to go put on this this last piece right here is a duct cover, so it redirects the fan blower to blow all the way around the heating element. I couldn't get that on because the wires were actually interfering with where the cover wanted to go, and that's when I realized I probably put it in 90 degrees. So the solution was to hit the rewind button. So I had to clip I think 5 zip ties. I had to remove this plastic spiral wrap that holds this spiral wrap right here. I had to take that off completely, and basically take most of it, not like all the way back to step 1, but once I get that all apart and I got the assembly off the printer, there was like I think 2 more screws I got out, and then that loosened up what holds the hot end in. And I was able to rotate that to the direction it needed to go, put all the 4 or 5 screws back together, put that back in, reroute my wires again, put the spiral wrap back on, put the zip ties back on. So that took like 20 minutes since I had already been through it. I didn't even look at the instructions. I just was like, oh, these 5 things, and just remembered what screws went where, and I was in and out of there. So which gives me confidence. I kind of like paid enough attention that I know how the hot end is together, that if I ever have to do maintenance, it's not, it's work, but it's not like a 2-day affair. It's just like, yeah, take it apart, get the thing that needs to be done, get it back together, and you're off and running. So one thing I did notice that I don't like about the design through that process was that the hot end, that this thing, like on my Replicator Model 1, on the Replicator Model 1, you can take the whole extruder off the carriage, and then minus the cable goes to the inside the printer, but that whole hot end can come off, and you could set it down on the print bed and work on it and even operate it off of the carriage, because all the wires don't go through the middle of the carriage. They go around the edge of the carriage. They actually sit on top of it in that printer, and so you're able to like get that whole thing out and then work on it. And if you had to replace it, you could pull the wires out from the motherboard and put a whole nother hot end or something in. With this printer, what I don't like is that you have the red wires here that go underneath the carriage, but all your other wires, your motor wires, go in between this bar and your belt. And you have to thread them in. You have to thread them into a plastic piece, and then you have to attach it all together. And so if you ever do maintenance on the hot end, and that's, it's a good chance that's going to get clogged or fail or whatever, it's kind of like a pain in the butt to have to like take this apart, because to get this off the carriage even a few inches, if I have to unwrap this whole spiral all the way back to the circuit board, it's going to make maintenance kind of a nightmare. And so one of the things I might look at taking a crack at is reprinting the body that holds all this stuff together and rerouting the wires through channels that go under this bar here. I think you can see they go under here instead of over here. Like these wires go through here. Is bring them out under, bring all the wires through the bottom. This wire goes down the back in the center and it's unpluggable, and that's just great. But if I think if I do a plastic version where all the wires go on the bottom, then back up into our clamp assembly, as long as it's not going to collide with the bed while it's printing, you know, and just figure out how to just guide the wire up and away from the bed. But as long as I got some room there, then potentially what I should be able to do is 2 or 3 bolts, take those out and take the whole assembly will just drop off and away, and I can go do work on it. Or even if I connectorize this, maybe I can take the whole thing off. But one thing I thought about in the future is that I've always wanted to build a pick-and-place machine, and so a frame like this would be fun if I could take off the hot end through a connector system and put on some other pick-and-place tool with its own facilities, you know, with a vacuum pick and a camera or something, and put that in on the carriage, and then use the printer for that. But being able to switch them back out, so that's kind of the thing I fantasize about. That maybe I'll take a crack at this. This printer is inexpensive enough that I may actually invest in a second Prusa and do exactly those modifications to it and see if I can make that useful for like a pick and place or some other XYZ axis, you know, a paint icing or a cake icing machine. This would be great for making cakes, wouldn't it? So, so stuff like that is look at just can I get all the gunk off the carriage assembly and do something else with it, even temporarily, and then switch it back to its old function. So, but that's what happened last night. It made me explore it a little bit more. That's why I have these ideas now, because it made me just, you know, look at this and kind of just look a little bit closer. So that's that. So let's get back to the LCD. All right, go look at my chat real quick. So Gale in the hot end was actually pretty simple to sort out. What is the white tube-looking thing in the background of the camera? Oh, this tube right here. That's a vent hood that I rigged together. I solder at my workbench a lot, and recently I had a project where I was soldering every night for like 2 weeks straight, and it was so much smoke from the rosin that was in it, and that sort of stuff especially irritates Sarah. I don't mind all the toxic whatever, but it's irritating Sarah enough that I went down to Home Depot and I bought like one of those bathroom fans that you put up in the ceiling above you in your bathroom, and then I ducted that out to a window. So for about 40 bucks in hardware, I got the fan that's ducted, ran the duct across the room. You can see it go across the ceiling up above my head. So it goes out to a window, and then I made a thing that fits in the window, like a 6-inch wide piece of wood with a vent on it, and so the window closes. We re-secured the window shut, but that just goes in the, you know, that gap in the window, and it ducts the smoky solder air out of the house, and it makes the room smell a little less bad. So that's what that thing is. I'm gonna redo it because there's a lot of stuff I don't like about it. It was like one of those, you know, $45 in parts and get it done in that afternoon. But now I've kind of had time to evaluate it. I have better ideas to make it silent and more airflow. So I'm gonna work on that in the future. But it does the job right now, and so it solved the problem we had with that job I was working on. So let's see, what else do we have in here? Forgot about the plastic. Was it difficult to take off after the assembly? I'm guessing, Galen, you mean the film. It's not hard to peel off. I don't think the assembly is pinched enough in there that you couldn't get it off. Just be careful with some maybe tweezers or something. Probably get it just fine. Wi-Fi 3D card sounds good. Yes. So that's maybe something I'm going to try. And Sarah says the hockey game was great. It was in her case, her mom got some swanky tickets from where she works, and she got free booze and food all night. I got nothing. So I got Vietnamese soup, which I do like, but Sarah, yeah, I had to nurse a very drunk Sarah when she got home. So um, super drunk raptor. So yeah, look at she's better now.
Yeah.
She slept all day on the couch after sleeping all night. So she's better. The hangover is gone.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I'm getting nothing
So
done.
I have no hangover because I didn't even drink last night. So
I'm envious of
So
you.
I'm gonna
You
have
could
to-
have been
I
with
get
my mom.
I get 2 beer. No,
My mom could have
No.
been sitting next
No.
to you
no,
and doing that to you.
no. Don't. I love her mom, but like, I'm not gonna go drink alone with your mom.
You won't ever come back.
Yeah, I won't be back alive. Yeah, the Polish mafia will pick me up and bury me in the desert. So, all right, let's move on. That was a fun diversion. Let me get to back to my instructions. All right, it says, so I got this thing back. Let me adjust my camera again. All right, so so I got the plastic bits. I got it screwed together. It's kind of ready to mount on the printer now. And so the next step that they tell you to do is there are slotted holes for the square nuts. So let's throw those in there. So 2 in this side and then 2 in the other side. Just going to do this without them falling back out. Oh, they go on the same side. Okay. These are symmetrical, so they're actually on this inside. Those are a little more snug on this one, so they won't fall out by themselves. So, oh, and the Golden Knights one more step closer to the Stanley Cup. I have $30 on that game, then 120, and my money back if I get that. So I threw a ticket down at one of the sports books. I'm hoping. I'm not a gambler. I don't even like hockey, but hey, got to vote for your own team of wherever you're from. So Golden Knights is the first year they're playing. They're doing pretty good, so you never know. I think they have a good chance of winning. So all right, I believe we did this. Oh, it says check the alignment of the nuts with a key. That's probably not a bad idea. Let's take one of the smaller Allen keys. And it says that now that I have the square nuts in the holes, is run these through and make sure they align on each of these holes. So, let me get the light right there. You go. No? Oh, yeah. That's way off. Alright, they're all lined up now. It says find your Prusa, which is right here. It says the little holes on the front are on the other side because I flipped it around. Let me flip the Prusa around. So the front of your Prusa has 2 little holes here and 2 little holes here, and it's the only holes left at this point. So then make sure your logo is in the right direction. And I'm guessing these cables will go under or something, but this thing mounts on the front here. So it's like it says just add the screws. Pretty much done. So let's get these screws through here. Oh, that nut pushed out all by itself. Let's see if I can get here. That's one. Okay, so this is where we can see that we need a little bit of adjustment on the plastic, but since it slides, it should kind of, see if we can get this to slide without taking it back off. But I need to make it about 1/8 of an inch wider, 2 millimeters or so. Oh, there it goes. That looks centered. All right. All right, that's 2. Oh, there we go. One more screw to go. Okay. And it's on there. Let's see, it says now your knob. So this is the little knob. There's probably an orientation it wants. It says assemble the knob as shown in the picture. I guess it doesn't tell you, but I'm guessing. Well, this is a rotary encoder. It just keeps spinning it. There's no 1 to 10. It makes clicking, so it doesn't matter kind of where you put this. It just says throw it on there. So like there we go. So it just says press it on the knob. It presses. It's got a switch built into it, and then this rotates. So that's what that does. And then I'll leave the plastic on here until we go to power it up. So that is that. Let's see. It says you can now remove the protective foil from the LCD panel. I'm going to leave it on there. And you can, it says wait till the printer's completed until you plug this in, but you could, I can just do a test fit real quick. Just make sure. That lines up. Oops, this seems a little tight. Let's see what's going on here. Does it line up is the question, right? So, yeah, this seems interesting. Okay, so the also the card is the gold pins face toward you. It's because how they mounted the socket on there. So I was trying to plug it in the other way, and it wasn't giving me a lot of resistance. So there we go. I guess there's no ejector, so that's I don't know if you can see that. So you can see that. So it sticks out a little bit. That's done. That's in, and then you would just pull it out. So that is that. I'll leave it out for now. So that is it. And like Galen pointed out, yeah, the SD card goes in upside down. So that's kind of a bummer. I like when they design things where it flips over. And they do make reverse connectors. So, hey, Prusa. All right, so that is the end of this chapter. I'm going to set up the video for the next stream for Chapter 7, which I think is, I will look. Let's see, Chapter 7 is that's Chapter 9. Chapter 7 is the heat bed and power supply unit. I'm going to set that stream up, and it looks like I'll start at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is 15 minutes from now. I'll take a little bit of break, get my whole streaming system set back up for that, and then we'll do that task tonight, and then the last two steps I'll try to get done tomorrow. So I'll see you in 15 minutes. Thanks for tuning in.